From the infamous news about Dana White and his controversial relationship with his wife, to the extremely sketchy way he manages the UFC fighters, here's the dark truth about Dana White. Starting off is the fact that White is now universally known to be a troublemaker. Before Dana White took over, UFC fights were an obscure, no-rules, pay-per-view blood sport that was passed around among hardcore martial arts fans on VHS tapes. But when Las Vegas hoteliers Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta bought the organization in 2001 and made childhood friend White president, a former amateur boxer who dropped out of college, White turned what late Senator John McCain once called human cockfighting into a world-famous sports entertainment mega brand that can only be seen on ESPN. White is in charge of the fight world today and has a lot of money thanks to the $4 billion sale of the organization in 2016. He also keeps his job as president. So yeah, he's a pretty big deal, but he didn't do all of this without getting into some kind of trouble, literally all the time. The MMA media has a lot of trouble with the promoter because he's loud, rude, and confrontational. He used to be called the savior of the sport, but now he's called the biggest liability of the organization. White has been in fights both inside and outside of the octagon, and when you're someone who has been on both ends, you know they probably have a dark side. I mean, something that has become very well known in recent months is his relationship with his wife. To be more precise, White is accused of cheating on his wife a lot, even though he tries to keep his personal life private. There have been rumors that he's cheating on his wife, Ann White, whom he married in 1996. Dana's own mother very publicly talked about how he sleeps with a lot of the girls on the ring card, and that there are at least 2 of them that she knows for sure. Not only that, but he also apparently slept with his sister-in-law at his mom's house. Okay, that's just plain messed up, man. I can't even imagine what his wife must be thinking, considering the fact that all of this news about his infidelity is also incredibly public. According to June, Dana's wife got so angry with him that she punched him on their honeymoon, and the promoter almost lost an eye. In addition to this alleged abuse, let's point out that Dana was also the target of a $200,000 extortion attempt in 2015. This was after a Las Vegas area stripper secretly recorded tape with Dana on her cell phone. According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, her boyfriend was found guilty of the scheme, but shockingly, he sued Dana in 2020. Later, he said that the scheme's promoter had promised to pay him $450,000 to keep quiet back in 2016, when the first legal inquiry was happening. The outrageous lawsuit says that Dana and the stripper had a long-term sexual and financial relationship. I don't even know why he tried to put the blame on somebody else, when, in a case like that, almost everyone would readily believe White is in the wrong for sure, given his history with women. When it comes to using money to get what he wants, though, Dana White's gambling prowess also kinda backfired on him. Casinos call him a whale, which technically is supposed to be a friendly term. He's a high roller with an endless bankroll, and in most cases, the business's main source of money. But sometimes there's a white whale, a Dana-shaped Moby Dick figure who's both smooth and dead-eyed under pressure. When he gets hot, he can take his chips and turn off the oil lights in even the biggest casinos. In 2014, White was on a winning streak at the Palms Resort and Casino, one of his favorite places to drink in Las Vegas. Then, they kind of kicked him out. According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, White says he won almost $2 million from the casino, so they lowered the amount he could bet per hand from $25,000 to just $5,000. For comparison, White often bets more on a single hand than he pays fighters to beat each other senseless in the octagon. Yeah, I know that sounds bad, but we'll get to that later. When it comes to this very specific gambling incident, this was the UFC president's second time docking at the resort. The first time, he got the Palms' attention by taking away UFC broadcast from their event center. Staff at the casino didn't seem too happy about the fight, it seems. White is known for being ruthless and smart in business. But he's also known for being a very generous tipper. During a 3-month winning streak, he gave $200,000 to dealers, and he often left $10,000 tips on his dinner bills, according to the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Considering how much money he's just randomly throwing around, you'd expect his fighter to be well-paid and well-fed all the time, right? Well, it's actually the complete opposite. It seems like White has a talent for making sure that the average UFC fighter is poor and needs to take more fights for the same low pay. You could call this being good at your job if you want to act like the devil's advocate so badly, but I call this straight-up exploitation. The MMA media has turned the issue into a cause celebrity, but it hasn't helped much. The critics do make a good point though. Compared to athletes in other leagues, UFC athletes don't make very much money. The NBA, MLB, and NFL players' unions have all negotiated contracts that give them close to 50% of league income. An independent analysis found that UFC fighters who aren't in a union make only 10% of what unionized fighters do. Conor McGregor, the biggest star in the sport, is a better example. Forbes says that McGregor's last MMA fight earned him $3 million, which was made public. No small amount. But when the Irishman boxed with Floyd Money Mayweather, he won $85 million, which shows how much he is worth on the market. McGregor has since stopped fighting because he decided he could make more money selling liquor. A lot of other stars agree too. John Jones, who is the UFC's GOAT, says he feels like he got ripped off. Top champions like Demetrius Johnson and Henry Cejudo have also quit the promotion or the sport as a whole. The UFC has also brought up rival groups that could start bidding wars that would drive up pay. So, I don't know. Maybe that could be something that's helpful in the future. But White doesn't really seem like the type of guy who's interested in paying up. I mean, let's just take his deal with Reebok, for example. One way UFC fighters used to make up for low pay was to find outside sponsors to put logos on their shorts and other ring walk gear. If you've been a fan of this sport for some time now, you'd remember that at some point each fighter had a signature look, like Tito Ortiz's flame shorts and Chuck Liddell's Iceman kit. All of that changed in 2015 when the UFC signed a clothing deal with Reebok. Inside the octagon, fighters were required to wear standard uniforms. Fighters got a piece of the action, but with the branding deal, which was a big win for Dana White, meant that fighters' already meager pay was cut even more.
Everybody who got a finish, all 6 finishes got 50 grand tonight. Go ahead, John Morgan.
Yeah.
Forbes went on to call the system exploitative, citing a 2015 survey by Bloody Elbow that found that 7 out of 9 fighters thought the deal was unfair, and 8 out of 9 said they would lose money. The fighters surveyed thought that the $70 million company deal would cost them on average between $20,000 and $25,000 per fight.
Right now we're just training. We're training and just focusing on the things that we can control, which is being in the best shape.
Mid-level decorated veterans like Ryan Bader say they lost much more. And that, folks, is all for the dark truth about Dana White.